All right, welcome. Today, we are diving into a really powerful idea, especially for the kind of crazy times we're living in. We're going to explore how myth, complexity science, and the epic story of our universe might actually hold the key to our future. Let's jump right in. You ever get that feeling that we're just stuck? I mean, you look around and you see these huge, overwhelming problems piling up. Climate change, political chaos, you name it. And it feels like no matter what we try, things just seem to get worse. It's this deep feeling of being overwhelmed, and I think a lot of us share it.
But what if the problem isn't just the crises themselves? What if the real issue, the root of it all, is the mental map we're all using to make sense of the world? There's a theory that says our shared map is just fundamentally broken. It's time for a serious upgrade.
So, what is this old map we're talking about? Well, it's a way of thinking that has pretty much dominated the modern world. You can think of it as the clockwork universe.
This idea came straight out of the scientific revolution, with thinkers like Isaac Newton leading the charge. This worldview sees reality as basically one giant, predictable machine. Everything is made up of separate, individual parts that just follow these fixed, predictable laws, kind of like the gears in a clock.
The logic behind it is super simple and linear. Step 1. The world is just a collection of separate things. Step 2. These things are passive. They only move when some law of nature acts on them. And step 3, this all creates a really simple, predictable chain of cause and effect. A causes B, which then causes C. Simple as that. Now, don't get me wrong, this mechanical way of thinking has been unbelievably successful. It's given us amazing things like scientific medicine, mass literacy, and a world where we can travel and communicate globally. But, and this is the big twist, this exact same logic, this idea of treating the Earth like a machine that's just here for us to use, is what led to our biggest crises.
So, okay, if our old map is busted, how in the world do we make a new one? Well, the answer might lie in combining two incredibly powerful fields of study.
On one hand, you have big history. That gives us the grand narrative, the whole story of how complexity has evolved since the Big Bang. And on the other hand, you have complexity science. That gives us the underlying rules, the patterns of how all complex systems work, whether it's a galaxy or an economy. You put the story and the patterns together, and you get a brand new map.
And this quote right here really nails the fundamental shift. We've got to move from seeing a world of separate, passive things to seeing a universe of dynamic, interconnected systems of energy. The key takeaway here is that reality is alive, it's responsive, and it's constantly adapting. So if the old metaphor was a clock, what's the new one? Well, forget the predictable, boring old machine. I want you to think of the universe as a giant, sprawling, totally unpredictable carnival. And here's where you can really see the difference. On one side, you've got the clockwork universe, predictable, mechanical, made of separate parts. But on the other, you have the carnival universe. It's adaptive, it's deeply interconnected, and it can produce these incredibly surprising results through a process called emergence. Emergence is such a cool idea. It's how millions of individual neurons, all doing their own thing, somehow create consciousness. Or how thousands of individual birds with no leader create one of those breathtaking murmurations in the sky. The whole becomes something much, much greater than just its individual parts. What this really means is that we live in a deeply interconnected, nested network. Your body is a network of organs. Those organs are networks of cells, which are networks of molecules. And at the same time, you are part of a network called a family, a city, an ecosystem. It is networks all the way down and all the way up. This new map also completely changes how we think about change itself. It's not some straight, predictable line. Instead, evolution and change follow a much more dramatic and, honestly, more interesting cycle. So let's just toss out that old idea of slow, gradual progress. That's not how it works. Real change happens in bursts. You get these long, long periods of stability and order that are then suddenly shattered by these short, intense periods of chaos and transformation. This is the actual rhythm of the universe. This cycle has 4 pretty clear phases. Okay, so first, a system starts in a stable state. Think of the age of dinosaurs. They're on top of the world. Then, as conditions change, the old ways of doing things, they just stop working. That's when a crisis hits, like a giant comet, which triggers a chaotic phase transition. And then, out of all that chaos, a completely new, stable order emerges, the age of mammals. And hey, this isn't just about dinosaurs. Human history follows the exact same pattern. You had the stable, ancient kingdoms like Egypt, which then gave way to this chaotic but incredibly creative period called the Axial Age. And what came out of that? A new, stable order of massive empires like Rome and Han China. So the most important thing to get here is that chaos isn't just destruction. It is a necessary, absolutely vital part of creation. Order and chaos aren't enemies fighting each other. They're partners in this cosmic dance that drives all evolution and all innovation forward. So what does all this new map of reality, what does it mean for us? For you and me, right now, sitting in the middle of our own global chaos? It means that our turbulent times, they aren't a sign that everything is ending. No, they are a predictable and totally necessary phase transition. The old mechanical map that we used to build the entire modern world is breaking down, simply because it doesn't fit reality anymore.
So how does a society get through one of these transitions successfully? They perform something called a mythic twist. They consciously and deliberately rewrite their core story, their shared myth, to create a new mental map that lets them not just survive, but thrive in a totally new world.
And get this, humanity has pulled this off before. The ancient Greeks shifted from telling stories about whimsical gods on Mount Olympus to creating rational philosophy. Early modern Europe shifted from a world run by theology to the scientific clockwork universe. And now it's our turn. Our task is to make that next great leap, from the clockwork universe to an interconnected one.
And this right here really puts it all into perspective. We are living right inside that chaotic middle bar. We're in the phase transition. The old stable world is behind us, and the new stable world, well, that's what we are building right now. The chaos isn't an ending. It's a sign of incredible creative potential.
So we're left with this enormous, powerful question. The simple, mechanical story that built so much of our world isn't working anymore. In fact, it's breaking it. That means it's up to us. It's up to you to imagine and start telling a new story. A story of interconnection, of emergence, of complexity. So, what will that story be?